And as far as I know, this is the last day of the very hot streak of days in this summer. Thank you all for gathering here today, even if it's through Zoom. And this is the best way to start the week with God at its center. And for the start, I would like to ask us to watch the latest EU-ME video news.
Hello and welcome to Europe and Middle East Weekly News. My name is Jacqueline Nanes.
And I'm Monika Nanis from Hungary. We're going to introduce to you our weekly update. Let's see what amazing things our brothers and sisters have been doing this past week. Last Sunday, we celebrated the declaration of God's eternal blessing and the realm of the cosmic Sabbath for the parents of heaven and earth in our whole EU region. As we prepared for this special holiday, we learned much about True Father's deep love for our Heavenly Parent when he comforted God's heart by proclaiming, "You will be liberated everywhere, and all the grievances of your heart will be eradicated."
Our True Mother gave a special message on this occasion for the Heavenly Japan's Sub-Region 1.
이제 하늘은 더 이상 기다릴 수 없다고 하는 환경을 인류에게 보여주고 계십니다. 뿐만 아니라 인간의 무지로 인해서 오늘날 겪고 있는 자연재해를 어떻게 설명할 수 있겠습니까? 최고의 과학의 기술로도 어찌할 수 없습니다. 이러한 현실을 보면서도 나라의 최고 지도자들은 하늘의 경고와 하늘의 음성을 듣는 것에 대한 소홀함이 오늘의 인류가 겪어야 할 이루 말할 수 없는 고통을 주고 있다는 것을 깨달아야 할 것입니다.
Hungary celebrated the 40th anniversary of the first four missionaries arriving to Hungary in 1981 through a very deep and moving gathering of the whole community. Elizabeth and Tony Koch traveled personally to Hungary, and Martin Putz was represented by his spiritual father, Martin Kidler, and his wife, Elizabeth. Ingrid and Urs Hauseder and Catherine Roman sent video and audio messages.
In their testimonies, all the missionaries emphasized the importance of unity and of faith in Heavenly Parents and True Parents. We offered a present to our missionaries, an album of our Hungarian families, and a Hungary-shaped memorial plaque. More than 120 participants were present from all over the country, and some families arrived even from Slovenia and Spain. The atmosphere was bright and solemn at the same time. After the service, the beautiful weather allowed us to go canoeing on the backwaters of Danube.
In the Central region, many workshops were going on for the youth and children in Glanów, Poland, Gaflens, Austria, and Camberg.
Hi! Last week we had our annual German Children's Workshop, where the children were challenged to learn how to bring true happiness to others.
That's right. And our second and third generation staff is not only very talented in many different areas, but on top of that, with such a young age, they already have an embracing heart. They are able to give so much love to their younger brothers and sisters.
It was a beautiful workshop with loads of fun activities. And we were so amazed how a very loving atmosphere was created when we all worked together to spread true happiness.
So last week we had a summer workshop in Austria with the topic On My Way to Happiness, and we were second gens from the age of 15 to 30 years of 6 different European countries, and we're focusing on topics of relationships between our siblings, with our partner, but also very important to our parents, and had experiences where we felt we could heal those relationships.
The participants at this workshop were quite shy, introverted, so it was quite nice to see them open up and be able to share their feelings and their thoughts. And it was wonderful to see them be able to reevaluate their relationship with their siblings or their parents by studying different realms of heart.
I was very happy to see my brothers and sisters after a long time. The lectures were very inspiring, and I feel after this workshop my spirit is lifted up, and I'm very grateful for that.
Hello. Dear brothers and sisters, warm greetings from Poland, Klanów.
We're greeting you from the first international workshop here in the training center for over a year.
We've had some really good times with interesting lectures, fun activities, some time in nature, and we're really glad to be having this time together finally. Have a great week!
Ingredients for Change 2021 Poland!
Our brother Ernő Sturm from Kaposvár, southwest Hungary, runs for 10 years and offers every public run as Samyangun Peace Run to support the Providence. Ernő has completed 8 full rounds, 112 kilometers around the beautiful Deseda Lake, while Imre Klimas, a young brother, has run 28 kilometers in total. The incredible result, combined with the distances run by their support team, finally added up to 165 kilometers in total.
Peace Hike on August 7th in Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland was organized by IAYSB Switzerland to celebrate the International Youth Day in a very intergenerational way. The event was part of the global initiative of Peace Road and was supported by members, guests, and peace ambassadors. Together, they could share deeply their ideals and visions for a better and unified world.
On the 60th Memorial Day of the building of the Berlin Wall, UPF Frankfurt organized a Peace Road event under the motto Building Bridges, Overcome Division. Place of the rally, the memorial for the Berlin airlift in 1948. We remembered that unique initiative of the Allied forces to overcome the Soviet blockade of Berlin. It's our hopes that the Korean reunification may also come about by courageous initiatives of God-inspired people.
Hello everybody, Fumiko and I are just back from the Peace Road UK. What an experience it was. As you all know, we started on the west coast, out on Bowness and Solway, across the river from Scotland. We walked all the way to Wallsend in Newcastle. We were just a handful of people in the beginning, but by the end, we'd grown to almost a big army, and it was such a fantastic experience. Along the way, we had such beautiful scenery. There were some very steep hills to climb, and some days I felt like my legs were going to fall off.
Our true mother's spirit was always with us. It's an incredible experience, and we are a wonderful team of brothers and sisters, different ages, and we always challenged each day. Every day we walked probably more than 7 hours, and we are so exhausted each day, but the scenery was so beautiful, and we met so many nice people on the way. We met 2 mayors, Carlisle and Newcastle. Wonderful people, and we really want to be grateful that they came and they inspired us so much, and we had a good time together.
Thank you everybody, see you soon.
In the next week, many important events will take place, and we want to invite you to be a part of them. The Hyojong Jumbo Great Works will take place on 21st of August, Saturday, and will be replayed on 22nd of August, Sunday. So if you're interested, you can register on this link.
Our ILC webinars towards a peaceful reunification of the Korean Peninsula will take place on August from the 19th to the 21st. The invitation letters containing the information about how to register are ready, so ask your UPF representatives about it, and don't forget to invite your friends to these important webinars. Thank you so much for listening to this weekly update. We wish you a beautiful rest of summer. Stay safe and healthy. See you next time.
Wow. Thank you very much. It's always good to see what is going on in Europe, and this time some of you got the chance to see yourselves in this Peace Weekly News video as well. And now I would like to ask Sanu Irgal to give us the opening prayer.
Please join me in a prayer. 사랑하는 천지인 하늘 부모님, 존귀하신 천지인 참 부모님. We have gathered here on this day, 8th of July, by heavenly calendar. Gathered our hearts, our prayers, our utmost desires. To be offered to you. Dear Heavenly Parents, we saw a lot of hope and so many passions. Our brothers and sisters around Europe and Middle East, engaging many activities, and also our younger generation, really to find their ways, to find their own life of faith, way to happiness, and to be like ingredients for your planet world, and also part of a true mother's words, really to really want the world leaders and encourage us really to take this word, the disasters, many made by human actually. Dear Heavenly Parents, we hear ourselves, also when we look at ourselves, many came from abroad, far different, distant countries. We arrived in this country, Slovenia. We have struggled a lot. We also have gone many things, but we could have such a grace and we had such a blessings that we could restore ourselves, and even we could for our ancestors and also with our next generations to be in your way. Dear Heavenly Parents, we are so grateful. All the foundations you and our true parents could have made for each other of us. And we are aware that as Heavenly Parents and true parents, for each base and foundation to be made, they had to make really the utmost best in each steps to go on. Dear Heavenly Parents, today we are here and we want to make and we want to be want to realize again and more deeply that we also need this attitude and this grateful mind really to make each day in our relationships with children, as husband and wife, as brothers and sisters in the community, and with you and with our true parents. Really, we should make really to our very, very best to be developed. Father, sometimes we feel we are so small, but since you have called and you gave us blessing, we have enormous background and foundation already made. We have incredible blessings, and we need to give and spread this to the society, to the world. Dear Heavenly Parents, on this Sunday service and on this day of Chilpalchal, the Cosmic Sabbath, please guide us and please be with us, that we really again be deeper, make a deeper relationship to experience, and this is the process to experience your deep heart and to feel our true parents' heart and their value. Dear Heavenly Parents, please also we pray for this Sunday service, all the participants, and also even those who could not join, but we really want everyone in this realm of blessing, really we can artistically join this Sunday service and be with you. Please accept and this prayer I report with all together here gathered, and in my name, Rado and Sono Irger, the Blessed Center family, Aju.
Thank you very much, Sanu. I think this deep prayer touched every one of our hearts. And to connect with our Heavenly Parent even more, let us continue with a song called the Song of the Victors, and it will be performed by the band called In Tune.
Songs of freedom, pride of happiness. sense of freedom, bright and happiness. Sense of freedom, bright and happiness.
Thank you. And now I would like all of you to please stand up. And let's offer a standing bow in front of true parents and heavenly parent. Kyumbe, Maro. And we will recite the family pledge, number 5 and 6. So family pledge number 5. Our family, the owner of UN-Lilly-Gundacker, pledges to strive every day to advance the unification of the spirit world and the physical world as subject and object partners by centering on true love. Yuk. Our family, the owner of UN-Lilly-Gundacker, pledges to become a family that moves heavenly fortune by embodying the heavenly parent and true parents, and to perfect a family that conveys heaven's blessing to our community by centering on true love. Ju. Thank you very much. And we will continue with another song called O Light of Grace.
my life and my love unto the one God of love.
Thank you very much. This is actually one of my favorite holy songs because it has such a beautiful message that you give all your love and all your life to your one God of love. So next up, I would like to invite Sasha Lapushi to give us the Gundaker reading.
Jambumo Gyeong Book 8, Chapter 3, the United Nations Renewal Movement, the Able United Nations, and the Parents United Nations. The direction of United Nations renewal. True parents proposed the Women's United Nation, the Youth United Nation, the Student United Nation, and the United Nation of Religions to become the Able United Nation and stands as a counterpart to the Kin United Nation. When we embrace humanity with the heart of a true parent by creating the True Parents United Nation, we can realize one family residing in a global village. On July 16, 2012, True Parents founded the Able Women's United Nation at the Changshin Peace World Center. 20. As we cooperate with the United Nations, becoming one in mind and body, with the representatives who are sent to the United Nations from each nation, we must receive letters of resolution and pledges from them, saying that they will join the Able United Nations. True parents are making preparations for the sake of creating a region of peace on the Korean Peninsula, centering on the Able United Nations and all the institutions of peace. We must create the Able United Nations in Korea quickly in order to neutralize the turbulent situation in North Korea. If we do that, the boundary line between North and South will become an area protected by all nations. 29. Now the entire world needs to advance from living within the limitations of individuals and families and move on to living in the new world of the True Parents United Nations. When this time arrives, heavenly law will emerge. We will enter the age of heavenly constitution. We will not live outside the heavenly jurisdiction according to self-centered desires. We will live in accordance with heavenly law. Follow in the footsteps of true parents. Enter the same world after overcoming the same obstacles. The door of heavenly world will open. You will not be faced with one door that leads to heaven and one that leads to hell. There will be only one door. 30. Now is not the time for the Kin United Nation and Able United Nation. Instead, we must enter the age of the True Parents United Nation, provided the Parents United Nation understands the Kin United Nation and the Able United Nation. It will be able to fulfill its role. This education has already begun. It is the education to proclaim the realm of liberation and complete freedom through our portion of responsibility. We must teach about the proclamation of the realm of liberation and our portion of responsibility. When God fulfills God's role and true parents fulfill true parents' role, then on the foundation of God and true parents becoming one, the true family will be able to fulfill its role. Consequently, it will be possible to generate a true tribe, a true people, a true nation, and a true world. The peaceful unification and restoration of the fatherland of true parents' true love is called the realization of the heavenly nation of the parents' united nation. Everything is included in these words. God's fatherland does not yet exist. The peaceful unification and restoration of the fatherland, which true parents are seeking, is the kingdom of heaven, the true parents' united nation. Everything must be fully activated for the sake of that nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sasha. That was a beautiful reading. And now some of you may be wondering, why did we read about the United Nations? Well, for that, I would like to invite the person who is giving the sermon today, Mrs. Lilly-Gundacker. But before that, I want to say some things about her. So Mrs. Lilly-Gundacker, she originally comes from Australia. She is blessed with Joseph Gundaker, and together they have 5 sons, and one is blessed so far. So Mrs. Lilly-Gundacker has been working in the United Nations Vienna in the Nuclear Security Department at the International Atomic Energy Agency. I hope I said that correctly, for almost 10 years. And let's give her a warm round of applause to welcome her today.
Thank you, brothers and sisters. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to join you today on this 15th of August for our Sunday service. The 15th of August is the 15th of August is the feast of the Ascension of Mary, celebrated in Austria as a Catholic country. I grew up in Australia, which at the time was about 40% Catholic, 40% Protestant. Today, Anglicans and Catholics together account for about 36% of Australia's population. My parents were Catholic. I grew up a Catholic, and we lived next door to the church, where we were very active in the church community. Somehow, August is the month that a lot happened in my life. I joined that church in August. I travelled to Europe for the first time in August. I came back to Australia in August. And yesterday, on the 14th of August, my 93-year-old mother went to spirit world. Alfred asked me to even just talk off the cuff if necessary, and somehow I don't find it a problem to talk. And these tears are not just because of my mother. I tend to easily tear up. I'm very sensitive, and actually lately every Sunday service I've been, I have to say, I believe, feeling the Spirit of God, of Heavenly Parents. And I hope today to be able to share a little bit of my experience, of my desire, of my inspiration with you. I have 4 brothers, and I grew up as quite a tomboy. Now, may I share my screen? I wanted to share some photos.
Yes, you can share screen, yeah.
Very good. We'll go right to the top, and oops, hopefully you've got, have you got the full screen of one photo? Or have you got the...
Which is the gallery?
Okay, I will go into the presentation and then slideshow. Oh, then I lose my screen. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, I will stop share and now go back into screen share. And I want the slideshow, which I don't see now. Screen 1. let me see. Can you see a single photo?
Yes, now it's fine. We see single pictures, yeah.
Oh, the photos are running through. Okay, that's all right too. With the presentation, that will just go through and I will give my presentation. Okay, good. Then I don't have to talk to the photos themselves. Okay, so I've got 4 brothers and I grew up quite a tomboy. I had a pet rat, mice, lizards, chickens, a dog. I worked for the Commonwealth Department of Health in Australia as a laboratory assistant. And then I decided to travel. I came to Europe for the first time when I was 19 years old. I had my 20th birthday when I was traveling around Europe. I was in Bremen in Germany, or Lübeck. I spent a year here in Europe and I worked as a nursing aide in Switzerland. Then I came back to Australia and I was a housemaid waitress in a mountain country convention centre. Then I travelled around New Zealand, hitchhiking with a friend, before I became a nurse at the Royal Melbourne Hospital. I became the student nurse representative, but then I left nursing to become the 21st member of the Unification Church in Melbourne, in Australia, in 1975. I was 21 years old when I joined the church. And I joined because I discovered that the divine principle was a truth that I could not deny and I could not live without anymore. I had 1 weekend off every 6 weeks and they asked me to become workshop mother, but we had weekend workshops every weekend. And from the principle I learned, we're going to save the world and we won't need nurses, we won't need hospitals, we won't need anything like that in the new kingdom of heaven. And if you understand the divine principle, you have been called, you are chosen, and you are the one that can work in this area that many, many other people, many of your colleagues will not understand. So even though I invited my family, my brothers, my colleagues, my friends to come to the center, one by one they came, they went, and I stayed in the unification movement. I started off the weekend workshops as workshop mother and eventually began teaching workshops myself. Became center leader in Adelaide, in Canberra, responsible for the business. My husband and I were photo matched in 1980 and blessed in 1982 in Madison Square Garden in America. He's Austrian, as you've already heard. And in 1985, he went to America. I came in 1986, and we had our legal wedding there in 1988 in April. In August, we came to Australia together. I was 5 months pregnant. Our first son was born in January 1989. We have 5 sons. They're all grown up now. And our middle son, Andreas, as you've already heard, is blessed with Francesca Cirelli from Italy. My husband and I are very different from each other. He likes to say we would never have even spoken to each other under normal circumstances. We were photo matched. You might have seen that from the photos that have probably already gone through. I spent 10 years at home with our children. My husband was a traveling salesman selling wood carvings from Osttirol, from East Tyrol. He often came home late at night and sometimes he didn't come home at all. And we had no mobile phones, no microwave, no freezer, no internet, no Snapchat, no WhatsApp. I would often prepare dinner for him and he didn't come, or not prepare dinner and he did come. And then in 1999, we did a role change and I went to work in the city while he stayed at home full time with our 5 small children. Our first son had joined the Vienna Boys Choir and the second one followed him. Actually, all 5 of them then joined the Vienna Boys Choir. So I've written a few notes and I'm going to run out of the notes soon. So the question will then be, I need to feel the inspiration how to continue further because I don't have any problem. I meant to start the stopwatch so that I don't go over time. You'll have to give me a signal if you really want me to stop. So I believe a picture tells 1,000 words, so I collected a few photos, but not the ones I really wanted to show you because there were many other ones as well. So that's my project in retirement, to sort through my photos. I used to hear old people talk about the old days, and I didn't like to hear about when I was young, when I was your age. And now I can't help myself. I feel compelled to tell you how different things were. Joseph used to go to the post office to call me up on the phone and paid 1,000 shillings for a call of 1 hour. So I wanted to show you the photo of me standing in the Sydney Centre with the phone at my ear while all the other members were preparing for their next fundraising day, and I was standing there on the phone and he was somewhere in a post office in Austria. I became the Women's Federation representative to the UN in 2003. And then I started making applications to work at the United Nations. I became involved in the voluntary activities at the UN, in conferences, in meetings, and I started to see and to understand a little bit how the United Nations works and operates. I'm very inspired what our true parents teach us. One thing that really moved me when I first heard the principle, I came to understand that the whole world, that God created the whole world for us, and therefore we should all be able to share with one another. And when I was nursing, I was living in the nurses' home, and we each had our own room, and we had one kitchen and one laundry and one iron, and even a place to dry our hair. Nobody had their own hairdryer in those days, 1975. And I realized I started to tend towards a type of socialist thinking, of sharing, that we should all have everything that we need, and why should we hang on to stuff that we're not using? This really hit me home when I had heard the principle, and I was living in the nurses' home for the staff who were working at the hospital, and we had one iron. And often somebody would burn the iron, you know, to iron your clothes, and they would burn it and it wouldn't get cleaned properly. And then you couldn't come and quickly just iron your clothes. And so many of the girls got their own iron just so that it stayed clean and they could use it when they wanted to. But I recognized if I had my own iron, it wouldn't even be used 1% of the time. Why should I really have this iron? We could actually, it could be community property. We could share it together. I think I was already having these thoughts when I was in the nurse's home, when I heard the principle, and because I moved into the center 40 days after I heard the principle. And actually I got my own flat before I moved into the church. And what I really learned during this first time when I first heard the principle, I was already looking for a place of my own, and my spiritual mother asked me to come to the center for the next lecture. And I said, oh, I've only got 2 days off and I have to look for a flat and then I have to move. And so I won't have time to come to the center today for the next lecture. And she said to me, you can find the flat tomorrow morning and come in the afternoon, and you can come the next day again. And I looked at her and I thought, it's not that easy. You can't just find a flat tomorrow morning. But she was convinced. So even though I didn't believe it, I believed that she believed it, and I believed her. And that's exactly what happened. I found a flat the next day and ended up being in that apartment for 40 days and continued going to the center. When I finally realized and recognized that God wanted me in the center. This is interesting because we are currently very aware of the missionaries from Germany who have gone all over the world. And it was Werner Lindemann from Germany who came to Australia in 1975. And he was in the centre one time when I came before I joined. And Krista Jensen, now Krista Rennie in England, she was the missionary from Germany who came earlier. She asked me, do you make your own decisions or do you have to ask your mother what to do? I was entsetzt in German. I think in German and English now. I was indignant. Of course I make my own decisions. My mother doesn't tell me what to do. I left home at 17. I bought myself a motorbike. I went to Europe by myself. I decide what I'm going to do. And the question was, if you know the principle is true, what's your next step? What are you going to do about it? And it was Werner Lindemann. I said, well, I'm going to convert all of the nurses in the hospital and all of the staff and all of the doctors, and I'm going to teach all of my friends. And in my flat, I'm going to be the Messiah of the whole world. I'm going to help everybody to understand these wonderful divine principles. And Werner said to me, if the branch is cut off from the tree, where does it get its energy from? The branch needs to be connected to the trunk. It was this simple analogy, this simple statement that helped me to understand that I needed to move into the church. I met Sandy, my spiritual mother, one day before my 21st birthday. And for my birthday, I got lots of presents. And in my flat, I had all the bedding, like as if I had had a wedding, all the bedding that I needed, new tea sets and coffee sets and towels and big cushion seats that my girlfriend had made. At that time, beanbags hadn't even been invented yet, but she made them filled with foam padding. And I had these two great big, one round and one square cushions in my flat. And when I joined the church, many of these things came into the center. And because I was a 21st member, and it was the end of the first 7-year course, they started to replace the wooden floors with lino and carpet. And everybody was praying for me to join as the 21st member. And they put pictures on the wall. And these were all things that had never happened in the Unification Church in Australia before. So a lot of these things I became aware of much later. I've lost track. I've gone all over the place. I remembered, I know in Australia, I met one brother who was working with the United Nations in New York, Robert Ratley, an Australian brother from Adelaide. And I was centre leader in Canberra at that time. And I thought, wow, the UN. I'd love to work with the UN, but there's no UN in Australia, or as what I understood of the UN at that time. I had the idea, and when Joseph and I were matched, and my national leader wanted, or after the blessing actually, the idea was my national leader had that my husband come to Australia because I was so important. I was centre leader. I was doing Professors World Peace Academy work. We were going to set up ICF. I was actually involved in a political party. I was president of the Solidarność group in Canberra. I was very, very active in public activities, and my national leader was convinced my husband must come to Australia to join me. Reverend Quark came. He was responsible for the foreign missionaries. And my national leader asked him, Reverend Quark, look, Lily's doing all of this, you know, and he wanted Reverend Quark to make a statement to say, yes, of course, the husband must come to Australia. He asked me a couple of questions and then said, Vienna is a beautiful city. and that was all. And it was a few years later, before, when Joseph was in America in 1985, that I went then in 1986 to join him. And as I said before, we landed in Austria in 1988. It was in 2003 that I became the UN representative for Women's Federation, and it was Elizabeth Riedel that enabled that for me. She was the one that asked me, believed in me, and I became the representative who'd actually do a lot of activities, mainly attending meetings. Now, it wasn't easy. It's a whole new world. There are VIPs, there are ambassadors, there's material at the UN Indiana, drugs, crime, criminality, terrorism, immigration, smuggling of people, all sorts of issues. And I started attending the conferences, the meetings, and getting involved in a lot of these activities. There was something in there that really fascinated me, and I recognized, even though I was not an academic, and even though I was not a crime expert, I was there. I was the one that was prepared to invest myself. I became the secretary of the drugs committee. There are a number of NGO committees that NGOs can work together with. So when we understand True Parents' words about True Parents United Nations, he talks about the CANE UN and the ABLE UN, and now we understand that UPF is the ABLE UN. And our work in UPF, in the ABLE UN, is in cooperation with the CANE UN, and the whole concept of the peace ambassadors is that we can raise them up, teach them the principles, and these peace ambassadors are the ambassadors and the VIPs and the heads of state who are working in the CANE UN, yes, for sure, but ultimately the kingdom of heaven will be the True Parents United Nations. I started applying for jobs at the United Nations fairly early. I have got hundreds and hundreds of applications, rejections of applications. I believed I belong in the United Nations and I want to work at the United Nations, and just kept applying and attending the meetings on behalf of Women's Federation. And then a situation came up in 2007 where the NGOs were asked to make a statement, or were eligible to make a statement. There was one statement that the NGOs could make to all of the member states. So at that time, there were about 180, 190 member states in the CTBTO. And each member state could make their own statement, and the NGOs could make one statement. There were 47 NGOs represented at that meeting, and somebody had already prepared a statement. The NGOs were given 10 minutes to prepare their statement. Elizabeth had the text and read it through, and she said it takes 12 minutes to read that, but we only had 10 minutes. And there was a discussion amongst all the O representatives who will give that speech. It went back and forth, back and forth. Anyhow, it ended up I gave that speech on behalf of the NGOs and had an amazing experience where I recognized where before I thought, and I had been told, you know, my self-image was, I'm too dominant, I'm too loud, I speak too fast. It was exactly those qualities which many, including myself, had perceived as my weaknesses, that were my strengths, that enabled me to give that NGO statement to the CTBTO conference in 2007. It was because I could give that 12-minute speech in 10 minutes, that I could speak up loudly. And I came to understand, Heavenly Parents, God made every one of us so unique, so special, that we often do not understand one another. Yet that should not stop us from expressing our uniqueness. We should not be afraid to show who we really are. I had people who believed in me, and I'm very, very grateful, because I feel a lot of support and even spiritual support that helped me to go where I got to. In 2008, I helped organize the Beyond 2008 conference organized by the NGO Committee on Drugs, and I became the secretary of the Drugs Committee. And it was while I was working with the staff of the UNODC, helping to prepare this conference, that I thought, hey, I know better than they do. I'm better qualified than many of these people. In particular, I was working with the head of the Civil Society Coordination. And it was then that I went home and prayed, Heavenly Parent, I was responsible for the income for our family, and I was unemployed at the time, and I was investing my time going to the UN for these NGO meetings for free, not getting paid. And I made my plea to heaven, get me a job at the UN, get me a paid job that I can support my family and contribute to the Providence. I had been applying. Eventually, I got a course from the unemployment department as a communications trainer. I set myself up in my own business, teaching English communication training, and I was teaching in Kitzbühel when I got the call from a department of the United Nations asking me to come in tomorrow for an interview. And I said, no, I can't. I'm working in Kitzbühel. However, I got another call shortly afterwards from the IAEA. I had an interview. And when I started working in August 2009 at the IAEA, I heard about a speech that Father gave in Spain about True Parents United Nations on the 1st or 2nd of August 2009. I mean, you can check, I haven't done my research to that extent to see when was Father in Spain in 2009. I joined the United Nations with the heart of representing True Parents. And I felt, I am True Parents United Nations. So, okay, according to all of the things that we read, the Hondok Hay, the UN is the Cane UN. For me, I went in there and I represented True Parents. And even though I had 13 short-term contracts over the 10-year period that I was working there, I never had any job security. Every 2 years, I had to take an unpaid break. And after the 7th year, they had changed the rule and it was a 1-year break. And it was then that they finally decided to advertise my position so that I had a little bit more job security. By that time, I had already reached the UN retirement age of 62. And because I had contributed into the retirement fund for 5 years, I was eligible for a UN pension according to the years that I had contributed. Yet, they advertised my position as a data assistant in the Division of Nuclear Security. And the whole recruitment process took 6 months because they had to advertise my position to the whole world. They had to prove to the member states that I am the best person in the whole world to fit this position. They had to interview a number of people so that it was obviously not a pre-selection. And at the age of 63, I came back into the United Nations on a 2-year contract until I reached the final retirement age, which by then had been raised to 65 for the full-time staff at the UN. So 2 years ago, I had my farewell as a retiree from the IAEA. And during the last few years actually, I joined Toastmasters straight away when I started working at the UN. Toastmasters is a public speaking club. It exists all over the world. I became president of the Toastmasters Club at the UN. I recruited the director of finance of the IAEA into the Toastmasters Club. He provided us with a room that we can use for the club. I brought him into the executive committee to become the vice president of public relations. Last year, he was the president of the club. And now he's telling his staff to join Toastmasters. At Toastmasters, I often give speeches relating to the principles. I've spoken about Women's Federation, about True Parents United Nations. At a Table Topics, I just posted a response that I gave to the question, what is beauty? Is beauty in the eye of the beholder? And I taught the principal definition of what beauty is. And even though I learned very early not to witness directly at the United Nations, it's a matter of witnessing with your life, of becoming the person that God can be proud of, that he can work with. At my farewell, my boss gave a speech, which I'm so grateful for. And I think eventually I'll edit the video and post it and share it. At some stage, I was brave enough to put in my CV, because when you want to apply for a job at the UN, you have to be honest. You have to say everything you did, every job you've ever had. So how do I put in my missionary time? How do I explain my work with the church? When I was centre leader in Canberra, in Adelaide, when I was in Melbourne, when I was fundraising, I put that I was a missionary for HSA UWC for 10 years. In my eye, I'm still a missionary for True Parents, for the Unification Church. In my official CV, it was a 10-year period from 1975 to 1985. Then in 1986, I was doing voluntary work in America for ICC. And I had a few other jobs that I was working in between fundraising. I worked for the architects of the new Parliament House in Australia. My boss asked me if it's okay, and I agreed. And he told all of my colleagues who came to my farewell at the UN, did you know Lily was a missionary for 10 years? You know, I think she came to us to save us. And you know what? I think she did. I was so moved because it's often the invisible things, the things that you don't see, that you don't say. Sometimes you just have to be there. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes there are boring meetings. I became very involved with Women in Nuclear. I became the unofficial photographer for Women in Nuclear. I've met many inspiring people. Actually, soon after I started working at the UN, Ban Ki-moon came to Vienna, and I just happened to be sitting beside a friend of his, Karol Voigt, I've forgotten his family name. He knew him from before when Ban Ki-moon came to Austria as an exchange student. Together they were exchange students in a particular program. And so, I don't know if we could phone it. And I think I had the camera from my son. and I filmed as Ban Ki-moon met with Carol. And he was so overjoyed to meet his old friend. And he was shaking hands, and I was filming, and Ban Ki-moon was in front of me, and he was shaking hands with me. But I was so busy filming him, nobody took a, not that I know of, nobody took a photo of me shaking hands with Ban Ki-moon. And he was telling me about his friend, Carol. And actually, a similar incident happened in Geneva when Ban Ki-moon met with Chantal. And he told us, she's speaking Korean, she's speaking Korean. And so there are opportunities to meet people who might seem far away, and maybe your life goals seem impossible. I want to encourage you, okay, my time is up, to make your goals, to know what you really want, to know that God has given you special characteristics that only you have, and that if you have an impulse, a desire, it's because God wants you to do it, and you can. But every one of us needs the support. We need mentors. We need people who believe in us. My passion now, because I've left the UN, and so have the only other 2 members who I know who are working there, here in Vienna, I desperately want young second gens or any other members of our movement who have the understanding of True Parents United Nations to join. Yeah, it's the Cane United Nations, but how will it change? Or work with UPF, the Able UN, because ultimately, as we heard in the Gundaker today, it's when Able UN and Cane UN work together that we have True Parents United Nations. My passion is True Parents United Nations, and I'd love for you to come in and help create the True Parents United Nations. Thank you.
Thank you for this amazing sermon. All the parts were very interesting. Especially I like the part where you joined your history, where you came from originally. And now let's continue and listen to a song for meditation called This Is My Song.
This is my song, O God of all the nations.
Thank you for this meditational music. As we all know, today is the 15th of August and is the Assumption of Mary, which is quite a big holiday and in the Christian world. And I personally think it's also important that we acknowledge the holidays and these important days of other religions, for example, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, as the more we know about these religions, the easier it will be for them to unite with our goals and principles. One final song before we conclude with a prayer, and it will be The Grace of the Holy Garden. Thank you. Another great song that lifts our spirits. Now I would like to ask Janine Waldman to give us the closing prayer.
Okay, join me together with me to pray. Our most beloved Heavenly Parent, beloved true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind. Today, on this 15th of August, and the 8th day of July in the heavenly calendar, we have come together as the Heavenly Parents Holy Community from Slovenia. Heavenly Parent, to attend you, to praise you, and to receive your love and your precious words for this coming week. Heavenly Parent, as we have had yesterday, this Shanpo Europe, Heavenly Parent, for all the Europe and Middle East, where many of our ancestors could be liberated and also receive the blessing. What a tremendous grace, Heavenly Parent, you have given us through our true parents. So especially today, we would like to pray for the dearest mother of our sister, Lilly-Gundacker. Heavenly Parent, that this beautiful mother who I've raised up with so much love, such a beautiful daughter, Lily. Heavenly Parent, let her really ascend peacefully and really that she can find a resting and eternal home with you and with our beloved true parents. Heavenly Parent, thank you that we could hear the testimony of your love, of your presence, being alive, Heavenly Parent, in the journey of our sister Lily, coming from another continent, Australia. Heavenly Parent, you are showing us how alive you are in every moment, in every life of each of us, of every life of every human being. Heavenly Parents, we have heard very deep testimony about our beloved true parents' dream to make true parents United Nation. Heavenly Parent, Youth United Nation, Student United Nations. Heavenly Parent, your dream will be accomplished. Centered on our beloved true parents and true mother in this time now. So Heavenly Parent, really, we are tremendously grateful for all our beautiful brothers and sisters. Heavenly Parent, we all are very different because we have different heritage from our ancestors, as we know. But we have and we are walking the same destination to really build Shonif Cook substantially, to show a true culture of heart, of love, Heavenly Parent, even without speaking words, but through our lifestyle. So Heavenly Parent, may you bless this new week as we are now preparing for this special great works on the 21st of August, next Saturday. Heavenly Parent, you really want to bestow so much grace and love to all our blessed families, to all our members all around the world. And thank you that we are able to attend, Heavenly Parent, even in our own home, or in our church, in our community. Heavenly Parent, such a time we could never dream of. So as we have heard today, no matter where we stand now, no matter what situation we are facing or struggling, or there having many questions about our future, we know you are a living Heavenly Parent, a living God, really, who never depart from us. So, as we know, like we heard, the branches cannot be cut off from the trunk. So we know if we connect with you, Heavenly Parent, we will come to the destination which you have prepared for us. So may you please bless this new week, and also in preparation to our true Father, 9th Songhua, on the 24th of August. We want to prepare our heart and also to pray to receive the Shanshin Won, Heavenly Parent, which we have heard through Dr. Balkon, that true mother want to bestow to every country and every communities. Let us pray to receive so much grace and love from you. Heavenly Parent, thank you again, and may keep each one here present and all our brothers and sisters who could not be here today, also in good health, and protect them in their journey. Thank you again, and I pray, report to you this in our name, Alfred and Janine Waldman, bless Central family. Achoo, achoo.
Thank you very much, Janine, for this powerful prayer. I know that most of us are feeling empowered right now to really walk and start this new week. I would just like to ask if there are any announcements to be made.
Morning again. Thank you. Thank you for such a sharing, Miss Lily, and also prayers and Gundaker reading and everything. This coming week, actually our youth, elder youth members, they have a retreat. So actually tomorrow morning they meet in our Peace Embassy, and then they have a one-day hiking. Then next day, from Tuesday until Saturday, actually they go to Croatia seaside, which our Aleš Bratkovic provided the apartment. So actually they will drive by themselves, and they made their own programs. And I heard, and then also every evening they will have like a talk and internal guidance by Zoom by different first and second gen members from all over Europe. So really hope they can have really wonderful time and meaningful time. And of course they are by themselves. So I think we need to pray really all the way and protect their protection. Okay, thank you. And anyway, tomorrow morning will be Central Reason morning devotion at 6 o'clock. Link will be sent. And Wednesday is a Wednesday prayer meeting, Europe and Middle East. So EUME means Europe and Middle East. So this is EUME. So at 8 o'clock, always our regional president, Dr. Barcom, always updates the most latest providence and also how our true mother is doing. So please try to catch up, do not miss. If you miss, then already the recording is also sent later on. So please try to watch it. And Thursday is our Slovenian Gundaker and sharing, Thursday at 8 o'clock. Then actually Saturday and Sunday, Saturday, Sunday is special grade work, as Janine said. So Saturday, actually from 6 until 10 o'clock, and Sunday is also 6 to 10 o'clock. So one of these 2 days you participate, those who registered. So then, but this time because of this time difference, it's rescheduled. I mean, time changed. So in our center, European time, 6 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock. So it's a quite challenging time. I heard this is because many these mega churches like our the associated this church like Noel Jones Refugee Church in America, and they are joining our special grade works. That's why time had to be like this changed rearranged. So please understand it. And so I think Janine and Alfred, they were planning somehow to come and we have it together in our peace embassy, but I don't think it would be possible because since it's so early. So anyway, this Janine and Alfred can say something more. And also about then next week, next Sunday service, how it will be. Okay, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now Janine would like.
Yes, yes. So, dearest Lily, really our sincere condolences for your mother. I know we know the spiritual world. We know she was, I think, a beautiful mother, and you had a beautiful relationship with her. But to lose a mother doesn't matter how old. It is really something very special. And also, thank you, Lily, that you, even though it was yesterday, you still really share this service with us as the Heavenly Parents Holy Community of Slovenia. Really, thank you so much, really. Like the Germans say, vergelt's Gott, Lily, right? You understand what I mean? So, thank you really very sincerely. Again, about we still I mean, we have to go tomorrow to the office. You know, we need a green pass or something to come to Slovenia. So we will find out tomorrow about this. But we are still thinking to come maybe on Friday. Anyway, we will let you know, especially Ravko and Erna. No, I cannot say exactly. And yes, so if we come, still, I mean, we will do at 6 o'clock in the Peace Embassy, just, you know, the one who can be there. It is very early, as we have heard. But we will share with you, right? So thank you. And especially for the youth, it's such exciting time. And also today is actually my spiritual birthday, 15th of August, 1973. John. John. And 3 weeks later, I was in America already, right? This was my journey, but another time. So it's also for me special this day. Anyway, thank you. Have a blessed week, each one of you. Thank you. And thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. And Sasha.
Yes, a thank you from me as well to everyone who participated in this Sunday service that gave something. Thank you to our special guest, Lilly-Gundacker, and to all of you who came here. And bon appetit, because this was really a feast of spiritual food that we got this week. So thank you and have a blessed, successful, and happy week. Goodbye.
Thank you for sermon. Yeah, actually, is there some problem if I share this with some leaders in some Central European group? It's okay, Lily, because it's recorded. I think it's very interesting. Yeah, I mean your point of view. Yeah, and your work in United Nations. This really also we are like for UPF in Slovenia. So it's very many times we put some limits, but we have to be persistent, yeah, to really achieve, yeah. Then things change.
Yeah, I consider my life a public life, and even my sermons I give in the church I share on YouTube. Feel free.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, have a nice day, a nice week, everybody. Thank you.
Sorry, I just want to mention the last thing. As you know, well, actually we had to come to another town, kind of family obligation. We had to come, so I am watching with my cell phone. But I would like to mention something to all of you, our Slovenian brothers and sisters. As you know, 1 week ago, exactly today, the family Irgel, as you have heard, had this accident as Rado picked up our 3 second generations from the workshop in Gaflens on the Slovenian side. I want to just say a few words how we came to do this GoFundMe. So when we left them, we maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes later, I cannot record the time, or 1 hour later, we heard about this accident. We were really so shocked, and we immediately shared it with Dieter Schmidt, because like Lily said, our life is a public life. So whatever good or something happening, we are sharing, reporting. And on that moment, Dieter said, this is not their accident, this is our accident. Dieter said, we have to do something, he said. So I wanted to share this just that you know how this action GoFundMe, which Alfred started, came to life. And really, thank you so much, all of you who have contributed. We are so moved in our heart to see we are a family. Actually, in America, it's very common. Doreen, our eldest daughter, who helped us on that way, she said, you know, so many of our members, they died, they passed away, something happened, and they don't have the means to cover. So this way is coming very often to show really our heart to each other and our love. So thank you really very much. And this should be our tradition actually for, you know, anyone, you know. So I wanted just to share this to you. Thank you. Blessing to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine and Alfred. Yeah. Just few words. This was really. I still have some questions in mind how this could happen. Yeah, such a big rock exactly at this time. So I have no idea why this rock start to fell that exact moment. And I don't know, was it some earthquake or I don't know, some really crazy. I still can't explain how this could happen. It happens once in, I don't know, 100 years, such a case. So exactly that time, yeah, so it was really strange. Yeah. But protection was really, without protection, I think just really, I don't know, I still have questions, probably all others also, from Karin also, our children, and Jisuk also, because she just decided to visit Slovenia, my wife, she could go with husband and children directly home, but she decided and like this, so it was really, yeah, and then you could be like 5 minutes late, and then maybe we would avoid, or maybe we would hit the rock, you know, because it would fall in front of us, I don't know, but exactly to hit us middle of the car really was, I still can't answer questions here, how this possible such and nobody was completely, everyone was okay, it was really so close here, so anyway, and then, yeah, I just bought this van more than 1 month ago. Maybe if we had small car, then really would crash. I don't know. All is somehow connected, so it's really many question. Nothing happens by coincidence, so it's always somehow, I don't know, connected on some level. Yeah. So every thought, every words we speak, every prayer, and everything action. Yeah. So it's nothing is disappear in the air, but it's somehow. So also this is kind of cause now how we act in the future, so I have to be careful to be grateful in this kind of
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. Really, this anyway, Rado was like this, and even 1 second before or 1 second later, it could happen. Maybe car would just turn around or ended up in the river next or whatever. But it just hit exactly in the middle of the frame between two doors, and then just the door, car door, this heavy door could absorb all the power and just fell off several meters away, and everyone was completely safe, nothing, zero damage. So even this village, their village, who could hear the sound and who came out, and they were shocked how such a thing could happen. Anyway, we are still trying to digest so all the love and the concerns and all the words which we receive from all over the world. So I don't know yet how to properly say thank you or something, but it's really, it's just such an experience, and maybe next week or a bit time later, maybe we can say something more better way.
Yes, thank you. So let's everyone should keep each other in their prayers and help each other any way they can, because it does make a difference, even if it doesn't seem like a lot. So yes, let's conclude this week's Sunday service, and let's hope for that God will lead us and protect us in our everyday life, and that we can strive and go towards God's goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice week, everybody. I'll put some music because